So we have Lot, and we have Abram, and we have Lot, who has moved into the town. Next time we see him, he is actually sitting in the gates of Sodom, which he was among the rulers of Sodom. That's where the rulers would sit. They would sit there.
He was one of the rulers?
He was one of the rulers of Sodom. He was one of the important guys in Sodom judging people sitting in the gates. The angels visited, and I'm sure they looked very attractive. I'm sure, they were, usually angels show up and the people say, don't fear. I'm sure they were buff and, looked quite good. Not like little Cupid things. They were undoubtedly very attractive, reasonable looking. They visited Lot's house. Now, here's where the story, something that doesn't always get emphasized, is the scripture clearly says that all of the people came. It says in 19:4, now before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter surrounded the house. So this was not just a small group that was giving them grief. The word had gotten around about these guys. They looked attractive, and all of the men surrounded the house demanding to rape the angels. So it makes sense then that the judgment would fall on the whole city. Lot offered his daughters, which to us sounds horrific, but again, you got to understand how women were viewed. I don't just, it was not a good thing, but he was trying to protect
I was just going to say
hospitality. Yeah.
Right.
Yep, the hospitality was huge. Note the persistence, though. Lot offered him. The guys were trying to storm their way into the house. The angels pulled him back, and they blinded the people who were trying to storm into the house. And then you have, even afterwards, they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and weary, so that they became weary trying to find the door. They were so persistent that they were still trying to get to the door. They were still trying to, be evil. Lot was reasonably righteous. He could not convince anybody outside of his immediate household to come with him. He persuaded his wife and daughters, but he had had daughters before, and he had sons-in-law in town, and they laughed it off. They thought he was joking. He couldn't preserve them. But in 1921, chapter 19, verse 21, see, I have favored you concerning this thing. Wait a minute. Lot is saying, hey, can I go to this city over here? Okay. And it's not clear that city was that much better. But the angel was saying, okay. And he said, see, I have favored you concerning this thing also, and will not overthrow this city for which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there. He couldn't destroy it for the sake of the one. And that's a good indicative of the nature of God. Jesus, in Luke 17:32, we have the whole story. We have the daughters, and they escaped with the wife, and the wife looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. Some people will make a big thing of the word salt that's used there in the grammatical construction. I don't know, but somehow she got it. And Jesus only said, remember Lot's wife. In other words, don't look back. Having put our hand to the plow, having decided to follow Jesus, having decided that we're moving on, don't look back. We have then the weird, horrible time with Lot's daughters. He went to the city, but he became concerned that he wasn't safe in the city that he had gone to, the city of Zoar, because he thought, well, these people are going to hear that Sodom and Gomorrah were just destroyed, and I was there and I got out of there, and they'd be asking me why me and not them, and that I'm not going to be safe here. And so they went and outside of the city and went to live in a cave. The result was the Lot's daughters thought, okay, we're blackballed. We're never going to get a husband. Our family line is dead, and so they got their father drunk and tried to and acted to preserve the family line. But the result was that the Moabites and Ammonites were born out of those two daughters, and those gave Israel all sorts of problems. However, interesting note, Edom, Moab, and Ammon are the only areas that the Antichrist won't control. Do with that as you will. I have no idea exactly why it comes off that way, but that's where it is.
And where is Petra in that? Is that in Moab?
That isn't, yeah. Yep.